Thank you, Mr. Chair, and great questions, Mr. Chair. Um, there's lots of dynamics involved when there's a family farm sale or a family fishing corporation sale or a small business share sale, especially when it involves intergenerational transfers of those farms, corporations, or small businesses. And I think those are the things that need to be considered as part of this bill as well, because this bill is seeking to take away the inequities that currently exist in our tax structure when a sale is made to a family member. Those inequities shouldn't exist. There should be a level playing field when a business or a farm or a fishing corporation is transferred intergenerationally to a family member. And Mr. Maguire, you've talked a little bit about the safeguards that you've built into this bill, and you've also acknowledged and credited some of our previous parliamentarians for initially bringing a similar bill to Parliament as well. So I think the recognition is there that we need this bill to create a level playing field for folks that are considering selling their small business or farms. Because for the most part, a lot of families have socked away their equity, their retirement savings plans inside of their businesses. They've kept those corporations running efficiently and effectively, and they've actually been very prudent with their own expenditure of personal finances to make sure that the corporations are well funded to succeed. And then when it's time to sell the business, they're looking at whether or not to sell it to a family member or whether they're going to sell it to an outside individual or entity. And they're looking at the tax consequence and they're seeing their retirement fund is now a matter of question in making that decision. And it should never be a matter of a retirement fund or taxes that inform the decision of whether it's going to be sold to a family member or to an outside party. And some of the other dynamics is that it's also much easier to keep a family unified by providing fairness in the transition as well. And if parents have to make an allowance of having to pay additional taxes to sell it to their children, do you think that creates stress with inside families, Mr. Maguire?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I definitely know that it does. If you're trying to, if like I know of cases where the family actually had to make the decision not to sell it to their own family, and it was probably one of the hardest decisions that they've ever had to make in their lives. Um, just because they didn't think that the next generation could carry the burden of the taxation that was going to be put in place, and they couldn't afford to lose the benefit of the lifetime capital gains exemption, which, by the way, was put in place years ago and has been expanded. So the successive governments know that that is a very good tool to be able to help small businesses. There's no doubt about that. But making sure that it's there to support, as you say, the communities and never mind just the next generation. It is a big benefit to be able to make these transfers to the next generation, and I think it's important to look at the mix of those that are coming back and taking it now through the gender equality that's taking place in all of our industries today, and the diversification that takes place in there. And I think we need to continue to put bills like this in place to be able to make sure that those entities are able to succeed and be a part of their communities and raise their families in the same way that they were raised. And I know it puts a lot of stress on those families in intergenerational transfers if they can't do that, and they have to look at this taxation thing as the reason why it doesn't happen.